Health and wellness are more than a destination. They are a process and a journey of personal choice. Come hear from people out in the field, doing the work, bringing health and wellness to many. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to introduce to you a very special person in my life. I've known Millie van Praag-Lopez for a very long time. I would say almost 20 years. I think I met you, Millie, right? I met a long time ago. She has, we were just trying to decide what we would introduce her as, and we came up with the journey of the spiritual mystic to discover the real meaning of life itself. How beautiful is that? But Millie and I met because we chanted together, Buddhist chant, and she was sort of a spiritual teacher to me, definitely, and taught me a lot at that time that I came to Holland, the Netherlands. And so, Millie, really, I'm so delighted you're here, and I know you have tremendous wisdom for this group who are following our work. And also, you have it for the world. So let's get started. I'm delighted. Tell me a little bit, though, about your experience, your background with the chanting and what it gave to you.
Well, I moved to London in May 1978. And up until that time, I had no um, awareness of being a spiritual mystic at all. And in fact, Buddhism came to me just a few months after I arrived in London. And it was actually my first really profound experience of synchronicity. So much so, if I still go back to that moment where I met this very, very interesting man. He was 72 years old. He had been practicing this form of Buddhism, Nichiren Buddhism, only for like 3 years. He started when he was 69. And we met at the home office, which I realized only within like 2 hours later that I didn't have to be there. But of course, I had to be there. And when I realized that, and I said that to him, he immediately said, I said, no, I said, I had to be here because I had to meet you. And that was this real, like full body rush sensations, everything, goose pimples, because I knew that I had to meet him. And so I found myself, yes, starting to practice this beautiful form of Buddhism, which I did for like 42 years. I lived in London for six and a half years, and I moved to Holland in December 1984, and I could continue with the Buddhist community here, which, as you know, is how we met.
And what is the name of it? The name of the Buddhism?
This form of Buddhism is called Nichiren Buddhism.
Yeah.
Nichiren Buddhism, and the lay organization that has given it its place, to reach people in the world is called the Soka Gakkai International, which means actually value creation society.
Beautiful.
So in those words, already that resonated so much for me.
So in a way, you and I were like really early pioneers in the energy, the shift, I would say, right? We've been working for over 20 years on our awakening, our ascension. We definitely are spiritual leaders in this way and spiritual teachers. I I am amazed at the energy shift. I mean, I knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, and we can feel the difference. When we were in the heavier, dense energy, when we met, you almost absolutely needed a very strong spiritual practice to get there. Now you can just be there. I would like you to talk about that because we are in this amazing spiritual awakening, which is phenomenal. If I think it's just like every day I want to pinch myself and say, "Am I really here?" This is crazy. So, Millie, please tell us your feeling.
Well, you see, what was always something that I did alongside with Buddhism was I was always very curious and open, and I read avidly um, outside, let's say, Buddhism. And what I discovered at a certain point was that there was another level of understanding, of awareness, of access to what you describe as, yeah, this amazing time that we're living in. That 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 I felt that I could step into even more power, more understanding, more ability to just know that what is happening here is just, not what people think it is, really. Not the average person thinks, they're a person and they're just living their lives and they have to do the things that the programs that we have been exposed to, which is all part of it's not, there's nothing wrong. I mean, that's the other beautiful thing to discover, that actually nothing's wrong. Actually, everything's in perfect order. Everything is the way it should be. Everything's unfolding for this great metamorphosis of consciousness evolution. And to be at the cutting edge of it is like so exciting. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, you feel it in every cell of your body right now. It's like every day you feel this energy flowing so freely around your heart, and it's actually so beautiful that I was trying to describe it for others. Maybe you can describe it better, what you're feeling physically now compared to maybe years ago when we were just starting this whole.
It came on board a lot when I started to do reconnective healing, because that took me into the quantum, really, um, with my whole being, with my using my body, which is it's just this beautiful avatar.
Exactly.
There's many beautiful ways we could describe it, but I like the word avatar. Where, if I start talking about it, I can sense that there are no boundaries. There are just no boundaries to my physical body. It is spacious. It is so spacious. The experience of being aware of my existence is that I am more and more, let's say, realizing that I have a personality, I have a body, but it's not who I am. I really am consciousness awareness, having this experience as a stream, yeah, stream of consciousness, of God consciousness. And this is how God experiences itself, how consciousness experiences itself. So everything is consciousness, everything. There's nothing outside of consciousness. When that dropped in, that was mega. That
Oh
was,
yeah, that's so huge. It's like, okay, I would say when you said that, I had a feeling of electromagnetic field, right?
yeah.
And this electromagnetic field just going like magnetizing, electrifying, all huge, like going so big. And that's what's happening. It's actually scientific. It's so beautiful.
Totally scientific. It
Yeah.
is, it is really sacred geometry.
Yeah. It's sacred geometry in the sense, and we are just starting to understand this multidimensional aspect, right? To feel into it, to
Yeah.
live it. And I love that about, yeah, where we are. But I would say that it is a huge shift from when you and I started in the frequency. The frequency is much higher, much lighter. The veil between heaven, what we called heaven and earth, but it is not really like that. But the veil between who, this awakening, who knowing ourselves, remembering who we are, I think is just so thin right now. And the new kids are here, which brings all this and many, many more light workers, right? So the whole thing is expanding. And that's the thing I feel like a really big shift. And especially this year, Millie, do you feel it this year?
Yeah, I was listening. I'm not really, not because I don't feel that astrology has a validity in this whole beautiful cosmic tapestry of what we're going, what we're experiencing here. But I don't know if you know Pam Gregory. She's
Yeah,
just
of course, of
amazing.
course.
And I just happened to listen to her recording last night, and the way she describes it, I mean, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it is. It's a
So
roller coaster.
roller coaster we're on. So, we have to strap in and really, yeah, I think what she said and what I feel deeply, deeply, the most important thing is to realize that we can drop everything, all the baggage, all the baggage. We don't,
Yeah.
this whole thing about doing, I'm not saying that shadow work doesn't have to be done and for certain souls, they're still going to go through that, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. But I think that there is a wave of souls now who are just, no, it's done.
It's time to move on. Like you feel a clarity and you feel a complete connection with source. So you're just not, there's no separation anymore. You're one. You're one. And when you get there, you're there. But there are many, many who will still need to do the shadow work because they don't know they're one and they still, parts of them are not connected. And I love how you brought that in, that reconnective healing, because I've been doing that for years and actually doing it on people, I think since 2008 or something. And I think that made a huge difference also in my life, just being completely connected to all those aspects of who we really are. So, for all of you listening, you're probably like wondering what parts of us, if you have no idea, but you could say body, mind, emotional body, spiritual, all of it's one, right? So, and we have to give each its, I guess, sovereignty. It's actually so beautiful. All right, so you have had a 45-year journey of awakening. So you were even before me. And I want to ask how, maybe give some examples of that shift in your earthly life. Like, how did it help you to know all this? I guess that's really what I want to know. Maybe some stories that could help people to have hope, because so many people today feel so hopeless with all the structures falling. They're focusing on that, right? They're worried about their finances. They're worried about their relationships. They see them falling apart. They don't really understand what's going on.
You know, what I find such a, I'm thinking of the word in Dutch came up, troost. What makes me feel so grateful is that you see, everybody gets there in the end.
Yeah.
So everybody, we don't have to really worry. Worrying is something that obviously doesn't, is not high frequency, right?
No.
So I believe that when people are ready, they're just going to be ready and they're going to know it. Because the other thing that I heard years ago that I really love and I believe is that God, consciousness, has a uh, internal guidance system. So even though people that seem to be lost, that's just part of the charade. That's just part of the whole cosmic play that we're experiencing here. This is a huge virtual reality, and I just believe that if we have confidence that we have found our way, we can, that confidence does affect the collective. So those who are, still not aware of these things, their time will come. It's just
Yeah.
going to happen. I have, I do soul collage as well, and I have a card that I made because I felt I understood that everything is in perfect order.
Yeah, I think that is so beautiful, that divine order, that trusting the timing of everything and not controlling. Like in the old days, we felt like we were surviving, so we were just controlling everything or thought we were in control, but actually we are in another way. And we have to understand that shift from taking our creatorship, being the co-creator, and actually just knowing that things are going to happen in a certain way, trusting the timing in this, now we're for density a little bit more, reality, and flowing with it, being more in the flow. But I find that it's very important for people to understand duality, because so many people are still in the stories of duality. They're still feeling the story. They think they are the story. They, when they have a story, they feel guilty because they played a part of the story they can't accept. So we're still dealing a lot with this. This is a huge thing right now. So maybe it would be nice to talk about duality a little bit and how we are transcending that reality right now.
The only way I can talk about is my own experience. My own experience is that because I wanted more than anything else to know, I also did the Course in Miracles after I did 42 years of beautiful Nichiren Buddhism, and I still chant sometimes because I mean it's very powerful. It's just
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah.
But so in A Course of Miracles, there is some incredible just lessons that in the title themselves, I am not a victim of the world that I see.
No.
And when you start to investigate that through self-inquiry, you realize that it's true, that it is only these stories, it is only stories. And even the good stories are a story.
Yeah.
It's just all stories.
Yeah.
So to be really free is to, also in Buddhism, there was a wonderful letter that Nichiren Daishonin wrote that was called The Eight Winds. So not to be affected, not to be influenced by either prosperity or decline,
Yeah. To be
by
neutral.
censure or praise.
Yeah.
So how do we stay in that beautiful middle point of just experiencing everything that's occurring and not being identified with it?
Judging it, like literally.
Yeah, so letting go of judgment is as numero uno by now, almost you could say, right? Letting go of judgment to realize that the only thing that's happening here is that consciousness, God is having experiences. And through those experiences, these lessons are being learned. And actually, there's only one really thing being here. We have all these different manifestations of people, animals, the planets. I mean, it's just one huge, like I said, virtual reality.
Yeah.
So, and if you start, like the law of one was very also helpful to, they even talk about in the law of one that it's a playing board and just how to learn how to play the game. And
Yeah.
stay like also, not be in the world, sorry, to be in the world, but not of the world.
Yeah, well, I think it's like don't get stuck in something. Like don't get yourself look at the whole, right? Realize that you can move in and out of anything. You're not, we have this illusion, and the illusion is that we have this limitation and lack, right? In every aspect. Like we can't do it. We were programmed like this actually for thousands and thousands of years. So we were made small, Millie, let's be honest, especially a lot of women, feminine energy, we say, let's call it that. Maybe you talk about that a little bit because that's really a change now that people are transcending that.
Well, because consciousness is just awakening to itself. So it is just a natural process. It's just, it's like a blueprint. It's like a divine blueprint. There's, it had to go through all those stages. And there's still lots, even with all this incredible consciousness evolution, there's still going to be a lot of things that are going to be experienced that are going to be uncomfortable. One of the things that I also experienced last year in I have done several ayahuasca, I have several ayahuasca experiences. And one of the things that I profoundly understood is how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just want everything to be nice and fun and great and feel good, but that's not how it works. So
No.
when you can really sit with that discomfort and not judge it and just realize that what is it actually? It's just energy, and
Yeah.
energy is passing through you, and you're just maybe feeding it with some story that's making it feel more intense than what it is. But if you really investigate the sensations that you're experiencing, and you start to realize that you're feeding those sensations by those stories, and that you're not any of that. You're just not that. You are just consciousness having an experience.
Yeah, and so often we do judge ourselves, right? We like literally we're so programmed that there's a bad way or there's a good way. Like you said, to be neutral is like amazing, right? To get that neutral, like, okay, I was kind of not very sensitive there. And instead of like holding yourself like, oh, what a bad person you are, or making it something, making it a story, actually.
Sure.
You don't make it a story. You just go, okay, let's learn from that.
Yeah, and you see that you're making the story, and then you say, oh, that's interesting. That ego mind is making a story. How interesting. And then you detach.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's not serving me. Do I
No.
want to keep making that story? Hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you create a new story. It's still a story, but it feels better. So you
Yeah.
become the master of your mind. That's what attracted me to Buddhism in the first place. The hearing, one of the things that I heard originally was to become the master of your mind.
Yes.
And the Course of Miracles is exactly the same,
Yeah.
God has provided, the universe has provided so many portals, so many gateways into coming back home. And it's what's so beautiful about it. There's not one way.
No, and I think like getting back to that because I really believe people are going through this whole not forgiving themselves for things that is holding them back from ascending, actually. So for me, how do you accept? How do you accept that this didn't go, that story didn't go, or maybe perhaps you have to be a bitch. Maybe you have to put a boundary, and it's better for you actually, but you're not used to that. You're not used to giving a boundary. There's all these evolutions of consciousness and experiences that we've judged and we don't get out of, right? And we get stuck constantly with the same problem because we're not willing to do something different and not judge ourselves. But I do think this is a huge thing for humanity right now.
Well, I think that that is what I believe. Well, let's say it took it to another level for me. The Course of Miracles was to realize that I don't need to judge anything,
No, right.
and and therefore I'm not guilty of anything.
No.
Yeah, it was an experience to see, to look at guilt in the face, and to see what a bullshit story it is.
Yeah, I love how you say that, Mel. That's so
When when I when
funny.
I when I stepped down from my position in the SGI, I was vice general director of this Buddhist movement, which I loved. I loved the members. I loved it. And when I realized that I didn't feel that I had to chant every day, I didn't have to stay into this what I saw as a rigid form,
Yeah.
because that's not freedom.
No.
But I mean, it was profound for me. I could talk hours about my experience through Buddhism, but when I decided that I would step down because I couldn't uh, stay on because I wasn't practicing
Yeah.
according to the
The
form.
rules. Yeah.
Um, I think it took me about a year. It was like waves would come up. Every so often, waves of guilt would come up. Like
Mhm.
I let people down, and how could I do that? And I
They'll
made
think I'm a bad person.
well, and and not so much what I wasn't worried so much about what people would be thinking of me, because that I also let go quite early.
Oh,
But
good.
it's just the feeling like, oh wow, I let people down. I did a lot of good work, and
Yeah.
why would I do that? And yeah, so I would go through these waves, and then I had this really interesting session with somebody who channels an extraterrestrial being called Zena.
Mm.
And they use he, but it's, there are no genders, there's no,
No, no.
and there's all a collective consciousness. But he pointed out, which is such a beautiful metaphor. He says, you put on this jacket when you became a Buddhist. It fit you, and it was a bit big, but you liked it. It felt good, and you grew and you grew and you filled that jacket up beautifully. And then something happened where you realized you could go further, that your consciousness could expand even beyond that jacket. So you decided to take it off, and you know what? Just fold it. Just fold
Yeah.
it and put it there next to you. It served you. Love it. Love everything. All the experiences, all the crappy so-called experiences. Everything has served you. And now you've put on a bigger jacket. So you can fill that one in.
Wow, that's so special. I love that. Wow.
Right. So yeah, that really, really helped me to let go because, first of all, not the happiness of all these wonderful members was not dependent upon me. It's always on, it's dependent on yourself. You cannot, you cannot say that anything is responsible for your happiness. That is something that you have to discover for yourself.
Definitely. It's important, like what a beautiful experience that you had there leaving that Buddhist practice and that leadership role there and realizing it didn't serve you anymore. It didn't serve your soul and
Yeah.
that you had to disappoint people. And I'm sure they were because they loved you and you did a lot of good, but you needed to go in another direction. And what strength that took, Millie. Congratulations, because that is a powerful story. I think many of us stay way too long in situations that aren't really serving our soul for fear of all the things like I would be more the type that I would be not only afraid I would be afraid of disappointing the person, but I also have noticed in myself that I would be worried on some level what they thought and they would judge. And I had to get over that. Like that was definitely something I had in my youth, in America, very much strong. So because everyone was constantly judging. So I think it's important when you can really let go of that, you're really free.
Yeah, that is so liberating. I can't tell you. I know how to say no.
Yeah.
And
That's a boundary.
I don't mind, and I don't even call it boundary.
What do you call it?
I call it freedom.
Oh God, I love that. I think I might use that in my new course. May I? Love it.
Freedom. There's no boundary because there's
Okay.
no separation. It's just to free to be you
Yeah, to have a free choice.
and to be authentic and not be afraid to disappoint people because sometimes people need the disappointment to grow.
Yeah. It's so true. It's you don't like I have worked with a lot of people in relationships right now. They're having a spiritual awakening. Their husband is not, and it goes on for like 20 years. And then at a certain point, they just have to change the situation. And that takes courage, right? Because you still love your husband. I mean, you love your wife, you love them. So I see a lot of that happening right now, actually.
It reminds me of something interesting about my husband. He was not spiritual,
Okay.
but I know about, and I don't even like to say that because that's actually ridiculous if you think
Well, maybe say he wasn't awakening at the same level.
he wasn't interested in these
Okay.
subject matters, these topics. But he was absolutely the right person for me. We were a good match. He transitioned last year, and I can honestly say that I helped him to let go.
Wow, how beautiful.
I helped him to let go. And but what I was going to say was that when we had the COVID madness, that's what I called it, the COVID
Yeah, the COVID
the
mad.
COVID madness. We were on definitely two different sides of the, idea of what was happening. And so, I wasn't going to have a vaccine, and he was. And anyway, there was this moment where I discovered that he had already been vaccinated twice. He didn't dare to tell
Oh
me.
my
He
gosh,
was
really? Oh,
petrified to tell me. And so I remember when I found out, I got so angry. I got so angry.
yeah.
I went into my bedroom and I laid down and I was livid. I was like a absolutely enraged. How could he deceive me? How could I go on with this relationship? And this is ridiculous. And then suddenly it was like I had a little bit of an out of body experience. And I just looked at myself laying on that bed. And I said, how do you find this story you're telling yourself? I said, it sucks. Well, do you want to keep that story going? I said, no. And then I realized that he was just another aspect of me because there's only one being here. There's only one being. He is another soul, but there's one being, and he is just another being, another aspect of God having a unique experience, which he's absolutely entitled to.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
And it's not up to me. And I tell you, immediately it dissolved.
That is so beautiful. I had it too. I had my family all vaccinated on both sides, and I didn't. And then I was in that kind of duality of it, like judging it. So this is a good expression, a good example. And then I remembered that I had to go home, and I thought, okay, Kathleen, do you like yourself like this? The same thing. Is this the story you want? That you're the different one, that you're out there? Why don't you just go to your heart and just be with them? Be in love with them, with whatever they're doing, and
Mhm.
see how that turns out. And it was a much better summer. So
And
it's
I'm not even saying that I'm right now about my choice. No, there is a choice.
yeah, but I didn't have conflict, and neither did you after that. We were in harmony, right? It was not our like everyday problem that
Oh,
it
never. It was totally gone.
yeah.
The story was dropped completely.
Amazing. Well, that is an excellent example. Now, I'm sorry about the loss of your husband. I know that was not easy. It's never easy to lose anyone, but not on the other hand, you and I've had an incredible discussion of what death is and what it isn't. And I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I would love you just to talk about that. That is so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it brings me back again to Buddhism in the early days. I don't know how soon it was that I heard that apparently Shakyamuni Buddha said, if you want to understand life, first you have to understand death.
Yeah.
And that jolted me. That jolted me. I thought, wow, that is worth exploring,
Yeah, I agree.
you know? So
Yeah.
it wasn't that I did a gung-ho, like deep dive into understanding it. It just unfolded. It kept unfolding and kept unfolding. And by the time I started with the Course of Miracles and reconnective healing and became more aware of that there is only energy here, there's only the quantum field, there's only this infinite field of love, light, then how could death be real?
No.
It just didn't seem, uh, it just seemed logical to me. And so I can't say that I had from one moment to the next a sudden realization that there is no such thing as death, but I totally believe there is no such thing as death. So now, for instance, last week, a friend of mine who I wasn't very close to in reality, but it just worked out that way, that the universe brought us together for me to be there for her in the last 5 weeks of her life. And she ended up in the same hospice that my husband transitioned in. He was there for 8 days. So you can imagine that I had encounters with people there who recognized me. And of course, they had seen how I responded and how I was when I used to visit Max there. But they said, isn't it difficult for you to come here? I said, no, because I don't believe in death. There is only a release of the physical form, and I am an eternal being. I have been in touch enough with my eternal aspect of my being that it's just yeah, I know it. I just know
Yeah,
it.
it's a knowingness for sure. It's like an illusion of the veil, and when the veil's thinning and you can just see through that we don't die. I mean, I had it as a nurse. I already saw it. I could literally see the auras lift, off. And the weird thing is when the auras were lifting off from the body, I now understand that the whole being, all the DNA on the other level went with it. Like it's just like that being is a unique sovereign soul that just
Yeah.
says, okay, I'm done with this physical, doesn't serve me anymore, or the story. In the old days, we were in the stories and we didn't know, we couldn't get out of it, right? We were stuck. So now we know, okay, now maybe in the future we don't even have to leave a body the same way. Maybe we will just consciously leave. I mean, where we're going, I think as we understand that there is no death, there'll be a different outcome.
Sure, probably. Interesting point. I can tell you as well that the two ex I was with Max when he left. I
Yeah.
didn't see what you saw. It didn't matter because it was a different experience.
Yeah.
Like our experience were different, which is beautiful. But what I did notice, there was a very big difference in how this friend, uh, she didn't want to let go, and Max let go.
Oh,
So we can leave
yeah.
very differently.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that takes me right away. It's like a segue because I have started to, maybe because a friend of mine planted a seed in my mind that, she said, this is going to be my last time here. And I thought to myself, well, okay. And I remember years ago, do you know Dolores Cannon?
Of course. Yes. Yes. Beautiful lady.
So when Dolores Cannon, when I only read, I think, two of her books, but the first one was the book Conversations with the Spirit, I believe.
Yeah.
And, she mentioned that there are souls that don't have to be here, didn't have to come, but still came because they wanted to really help humanity, help all the other souls. And as soon as I read that, I had like major goosebumps because
Yeah. Yeah.
it was me. I came back, I didn't have to come. And also I don't know if it was in that book or the other book, she talked about that there are beings that are not in bodies, who are working with those people who have a difficulty leaving their souls, right?
Yeah.
Like this friend. And um, and that in the perfection of this unbelievable creation, there are souls or beings rather that help those people in that phase
Definitely.
before they can move on to then, gather again their whatever it is they're going to go on to, to do again. Because of course, life is eternal. I mean, there's no end, right?
Right.
So I said, when I read that, I said, I think I might like to do that later.
That's so beautiful. No, it's so funny that you say that, Millie, because I've been doing that in my own family. A lot of members have died.
Yeah.
And the last days, they know I help people heal, so they'll call me with reconnective healing, long distance. And
Yeah.
I will literally see the effect within like 20 minutes, like or to an hour or two, because every time I do the healings, and it's not me, I just am
Oh, oh,
there as a guide. It's called shared death experience, actually, and I'm with the person. Our souls are united, and I am in their field and giving them, releasing the fear, and then they can go. And every time it's really uncanny. Within so quick, they're gone. They've left.
great that you
Uh,
still, because now it makes me realize that I did that for my mom as well.
yeah.
She also transitioned last year, and she came to me about 2 days before she transitioned, and I helped her.
Yeah. So that is like a beautiful gift that if we can all can imagine we can self-heal and we can do these things for each other, then we won't really have fear anymore. It will be over. So I think we're going there, but it's like a process. How do we undo these programs, get rid of, like you said, the karmic cycles we were in? That is over. I mean, we don't need to live in that anymore. Can you talk about that? Because I
Yeah.
think people think about karma like a scary thing.
Well, that's so funny because my soul collage cards, which I started to make in September 22, and I did a soul collage facilitated training this
Yeah.
beginning of this year, not so much because I felt I needed the soul collage cards for a spiritual practice, but that's what they can be for people. And because I feel that I like I remember being in with Joe Dispenza in Germany on a week retreat with him, and I was talking to some really, interesting people that I met. That I believe that I said, I feel like I'm garnering all these different portals, different ways, methods, whatever you want to call it, entrance points, like how people can go back home to
Yeah.
truth, right? So I realized that with the soul collage cards, I can use them to help people. And this morning I did choose a card, random. I have 280 cards.
Oh, beautiful. What was the card? Can we see it?
Stepping off the wheel of karma.
Oh my gosh. And then I ask you that. That's so
Never
fun.
asked me that question. So that
Right.
just goes to show you how this is,
Not an accident.
it's
Not an accident. And so when we say no more, like you said, there is no more. We just live without judgment. And that karma we did ourselves. We said, we're going to judge this. This is right. Because we were in duality. So everything was right and wrong, good and bad. And we were in it and we were played one role. And then we held it upon ourselves for eons and lifetimes. So now we're done. So now we say, no more karma. It's
no,
over. No more judgment. It's over.
yeah,
Live.
yeah. And now to create anew from freedom. I also have a card that, behold, I make all things new.
Oh, how beautiful. Love.
Right? Because if you're in that neutral zone where there's no luggage, there's no backpacks, there's no bullshit stories, then hey, you're totally free to create whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about bringing heaven, what we know of as these high frequencies where we're going, fifth density and higher, right? That's our endpoint, and there is no endpoint, but for this universe, this is where we're going. And this lovely earth we're on. So how do you create that on earth? Because I think that's the point, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I also have a card called I Abide in the Kingdom.
Oh wow, I love that. Millie, your cards sound amazing.
My
Can
cards are
you
amazing.
put them in I don't know if you sell them, but can you put them in
You
the
don't sell them because these cards, that's what's so beautiful. These cards become an oracle deck for yourself. They're only for personal use. So
Okay.
what I do is I give workshops where people can make intuitively, let's say in a workshop, 3, 4, 5 cards, and then they start right away reading the cards and they get guidance from their higher.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we'll have to talk about that because that sounds so cool.
So yeah, heaven on earth. I abide in the kingdom.
Yeah. In other words, it's here. We bring it here. We don't, it's not outside of us
And
anymore.
it is here already, but people don't see it that way. They don't recognize it that way. You
No,
know,
they have to be totally connected. And when they realize this law of one, what you talked about, that we are just all one, yet we are co-creating as separate sovereign beings, which is so incredible in itself.
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
incredible. And we bring that energy, that high frequency within our body, and
Yes.
we are that light being.
Yeah. We ground it here
Cool.
because this is the only way God could experience the world, creation. Because when I'm in the zone,
Yeah.
nothing's happening there. There is, of course, potential there, all the potential. Like that's what in Buddhism, the 3,000 worlds in every moment of life. It's a beautiful way that Nichiren talked about this power, this unbelievable power that exists at every single moment. But when I make sure, because I think that's so important, I make sure that every day I, I call it, I touch base with that.
That infinite possibility.
Just like peace, the
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah, I understand.
When I don't need anything, I don't even want anything.
No, it's so true. It's like I know exactly. It's the void. You're in this empty place, which is not empty at all. It's totally beautiful. And it's so beautiful that you couldn't want for anything because you have everything already.
Exactly.
Therefore, it's just clear. But I think it's like that is a conscious decision to connect to that space, and people have to learn where that is within. And that's what's happening right now, that reconnection to that ability that we once had, I believe. And we kind of went like sleeping beauties.
Yeah, that's all on purpose. It's all
Yeah.
on purpose. There's no mistakes.
No, so what would you
God doesn't make a mistake.
Yeah, so um let me ask you something. What is that purpose? Like if you had to say, what was the purpose of all that 26,000 years of darkness, duality?
You talk about just about the duality. I
Yeah,
mean,
like what we went through, lifetime after lifetime.
just to experience be able, God wants to experience everything without judgment.
There you go. So we just were experiencing everything, even the darkness, the darkest things to make us richer and appreciate the light.
Yeah, it's just, there's no agenda.
So I want to ask you what you like, what would you say to humanity right now? What words would you like to kind of close this interview off? Like, what would you like to say?
I would love that everybody be as curious as I am.
That's fun.
To discover, if you're, if you're ready, to discover what's always here.
Mhm.
This idea that we're not abiding in source is the illusion, because you cannot be outside of source. Everything exists within source. So it's
Yeah.
always, all the time. And you start to discover through self-inquiry, like, who am I? And then you start asking you, what is it that is aware always, no matter what is happening? And you touch, you make contact with that. It's here. You don't go across the street to find it, or to a mountaintop, or to a retreat. You don't
Mhm.
have to go anywhere. It's nowhere outside. It is there. And I think that is so beautiful to be in touch with. I cannot not be in touch with it. So one of the cards that I used to uh, pull a card. I don't have a lot of decks. I only have actually 3, and then my own and the new one. This is from Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul. And I used to pick a card out, very often. But when I picked this card, I thought, I don't need to pick any more cards.
This is funny.
This card says, if you go very deep, that is where you live.
Mhm.
You live in the seat of consciousness.
Yeah.
A true spiritual being lives there without effort and without intent.
Mm. So nice. Wow. I don't know if we have to say anything else, but I do. But I do really. I love that. Thank you, Millie. I do want you to share a little bit about what you offer people and what they can come. What can you give people right now if they are looking for help, if they're looking for guidance, coaching? What do you offer? What services?
Mm. Well, first of all, I offer my heart
Nice.
and my love and commitment to working with people where they're at. It's very important. We talked about that. You know, you have to know that. The Buddha taught to the capacity of the people.
Mm.
So that's really important. And after so many years, I think I've been able to cultivate that. Um, so I have different ways. I mean, I could even teach people how to chant.
Of course, and that is really special.
I mean, I still have my beautiful mandala, the Gohonzon, which absolutely works. I do reconnective healing, as you do, and you know how powerful reconnective healing is. I had a session with somebody almost, 2 years ago. That was such a memorable session. It was a woman who was facing cancer, breast cancer for the second time.
Mm.
And she made it very clear, I'm not here for you to, I don't believe you can cure me, or, I was just curious, what is this reconnective healing? Because it sounds really interesting, but it's so vague, but still I wanted to give myself the opportunity to try, which I think is amazing, right? Because she was very, very 3D, let's call it.
I
That's
understand.
no judgment at
No,
all.
it's a process.
Yeah. And at the end of the session, when I asked her, what was your experience? She said, well, first of all, she said, I saw myself encrusted in this black egg.
Mm. Wow.
I didn't feel afraid. I just was in this egg, and I could see that I was inside. But as soon as I saw it. I also saw it opening. It opened in half. And inside that egg, I was laying there and I was in this light. I was just in this pure white light. And what I saw was how magnificent I am.
Jeez, that's so true.
And so I'm not saying that happens in every session, but that was like, there was no way that I had nothing to do with that. I mean, that is really, divine consciousness working through that experience together with us, right? Because we were joined. So reconnected healing is very beautiful, powerful. I also do spiritual mentoring because some people are already on certain paths and they find themselves like I did. I wanted to take another step into higher levels of consciousness. I did it. So other people are in that position sometimes as well, which I know I could help them with. Um, and there is the soul collage now.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think like you are just such a gift to people. So anyone listening who is a little bit stuck, they want spiritual guidance, to be with Millie is such an experience. It's really such an honor actually to be with you and have your guidance. I'm also in your guidance forever because you've taught me so much. And I want to say thank you for that. Honestly, at this moment, I'm in complete gratitude. I know we are in this I'm going to put all your stuff in the down links below and people can reach you and connect with you. And I believe that because we are on this acceleration of consciousness in this new age of Aquarius, and that I do believe is in astrology is happening. Um, it's just the most divine, wonderful time to be alive. And I want to just, give you an opportunity to give a final message to the audience.
Well, I'm first of all delighted that we're reconnected because it was
Literally.
so kind of a gap for many years that we didn't see each other. But you see, everything is in perfect order, perfect timing. So my final message is become curious.
Beautiful.
Become curious.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, thank you, Millie. I love that actually. Thank you for being here today. And I'm really grateful. And I wish you, I mean, we will be together in this whole journey. I'm just grateful again for that. But I wish you so much success with this work you're doing and all the new new things, your cards and everything, and how you're helping humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you're doing.